What's going on, New York Yankee fans? Welcome back to another video on the Big Blue in the Bronx channel. If you guys haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. Turn that notification button so you get notified when a live stream pops, a video drops. Appreciate y'all that came out for the Boys in Big Apple stream with the giveaways. Really appreciate the people who actually entered in the giveaway. Congrats to Gabe and the other person that won. I forget their name right now, but congrats to two winners. Hope to see you guys at New York Giants Fan Fest. Very shortly, though, within the next week and a half, we will be doing a giveaway of a Sam Darnold jersey. I know there's 4 people interested right now in that. There's also the Jets tickets for training camp on 2 separate days. And there's also the Jets big scrimmage game, the green and white game. So Jets fans, Yankee fans, whoever wants to participate, gladly inquire about it. Comment below. We don't have a set straight date yet in terms of what we're going to do next week for the Boys in Big Apple podcast, because I am actually going away again, likely to upstate later next week, and I don't think Sean starts work yet, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully, I think next week will be our last Monday. Then we will probably move to sort of a weekend schedule, and we won't really have to deal with a lot of competition because a lot of people are off on the weekends. They would like to enjoy themselves. Now, let's talk about the Yankees and actually get down to the topics of this video. A lot of people are speculating whether the Yankees should trade at the deadline in terms of like giving up pieces and selling, or whether they should buy into a player, whether it be Joey Gallo, Adam Frazier, a couple other guys on the market, and basically say, you know what, we're gonna go for a run here, and we'll see if it works or not. Here's my honest opinion. I'm going to give the Yankees a reasonable doubt here. I'm going to give them the reasonable doubt. My personal opinion is you sell right now. After the Red Sox game last night, I don't know if today's going to happen, because right now, as I'm recording, storms are happening near me. There's thunder. There's soon to be lightning. You know, all sorts of shit storms. Same story, different half. I mean, the fact that you're putting out that sort of lineup, and once again, the COVID thing, there's nothing really you could do about it. It happens, especially in this time that we're in. But that easily is one of the worst lineups I've seen this year. And I'm not going to blame it all on this, that, and the other thing, but it compares to the 2013 New York Yankees. Because you take a look at some of the lineups that were presented there, and some of the guys that came up that season. Now, I wasn't on Twitter. I wasn't, investigating. I wasn't doing this, that, and the other thing. But I knew what was going on in 2013. Guys like David Adams, Zoilo Almonte, Thomas Neal, Chris Dickerson, if he was still on the team. I don't know if he was. Francisco Cervelli was still on the team. Austin Romine, Chris Stewart. A lot of guys should not have been called up, but they were due to injury. And some of the signings that year weren't really great either. I mean, it's not blaming Cashman all the way, because Teixeira was injured. Granderson was injured, but you also signed Kevin Youkilis. So there was a lot of moves, and Travis Hafner as well. Let's not forget about that one. There was a lot of moves that year that were questionable that only stayed for a year. Hafner, Overbay, Reynolds, a couple other guys as well. So that kind of compares to this year, in my opinion. I'll give the Yankees the benefit of the doubt. I will say that the next 9 games defines whether they should trade or sell the deadline. And realistically, as we talked on the Boys in the Big Apple podcast, they literally cannot lose a series within the next couple of games, actually the whole rest of the season. They cannot lose a series if they want to go back and try to get something in the division, or whether it be the wild card. So I will say the next 10 games defines what they will do at the deadline. Now, realistically speaking, I don't think that is going to happen, because if the Yankees get swept by Boston, if the Phillies series turns out to be a bust, if the series after that turns out to be a bust, I think the Yankees, Brian Cashman, Hal Steinbrenner, and all those guys, they're going to buy into the false hope that the Yankees can still make a run. I don't think that's stopping them. I don't think, even if we are swept for the next 3 series, I don't think that's stopping them. It might, but I don't think that is going to happen. I think they're still going to buy either way, and obviously they are buying into, my personal opinion, the false hope, which will actually not do themselves very good for the next season, knowing that you're going to have a lot of players competing for the outfield spots and stuff like that. But I will give you my options here in terms of who I would trade for at the deadline if I wanted to be in that position. I have one hell no option, and this is an unpopular take, but we'll go over that towards the end. Here is number one, and I've been really just hammering on this in terms of the trade deadline, Adam Frazier. Adam Frazier, he's for the Pirates, and if you told me a few years ago that, oh, you would want a Pirates guy in the future, I would have smacked you across the face. Adam Frazier, he's a good guy in terms of hitting, consistency, stuff like that. He's for the Pirates. He's a left-handed hitter. He made the All-Star game this year. I think it's his first All-Star game. Also to note, he's a second baseman and an outfielder. Now, this year, he's hitting .330 with 4 home runs, 31 RBIs. That's probably why the Yankees would not want to go after him, because he doesn't hit home runs like Joey Gallo does, like Aaron Judge does, stuff like that. Also, as well, he has a career high 116 hits plus. His last high in that aspect, I believe, is going back to 2017 with 112 hits. And that was in a total of 121 games. And he's had 116 hits in a total of 90 games so far. So that's pretty good for Adam Frazier. And especially if you're on a bad team. You make your mark. And there's a difference in two separate standards of, determining if you're a good player on a bad team or if you're just a flunky on a bad team that actually is doing good. I think Frazier is the opposite of what Marcus Golden was for the Giants. Now, for context, I will explain. Now, I hate to go into football because this is a baseball subject, but once again, I will relate. Marcus Golden had an 11 or 11.5 sack season. No, excuse me, 10.5 sacks with the New York Giants in 2019. That was the highest amount of sacks for a linebacker, for a Giants linebacker, since 1990 with Lawrence Taylor. He got the most sacks. The pass rush was not great at all. I think it was ranked 26th in terms of sacks. Defense wasn't good. He was later signed back and then traded again. But once again, when he got to the Cardinals, he was okay. He got traded to them again, so those are the only two teams he's been with. But he was a good player on a bad team that really didn't last till the next year because the team got better. It wasn't great, but got better as the year went on. And Marcus Golden was traded, and, he just had, I would say, typically one good year. He's also a number 2 pass rusher. So that is that story, but let's go back to Adam Frazier. I think he's been consistent throughout his entire career. If I'm looking at my standards and batting average and stuff like that, last year, a bit of a down year, 230, 277 in 2018, 276 in 2017, 301 in 2016 when he made his MLB debut. So it shows consistency, and I understand that he did not play 100 some odd games in his rookie year or whenever he didn't play 100 games, but it shows consistency. Other than the one bad year, he's a consistent hitter. He hits not for power but for average, and that's something the Yankees need, although I don't think that's something they're going to go after. Unfortunately, you look at what we would have in terms of control of him over the next couple of years if we actually traded for him. This year he is earning $4.3 million, which is not much at all. Obviously, the Pittsburgh Pirates want to keep their payroll low because they are in a forever rebuild. Next year he gets arbitration, third year of it, and then 2023 he's got free agency. So pretty easy road for the next couple of years for Adam Frazier. Someone I would definitely get at the deadline if I wanted to trade for someone. Now, Adam Frazier was an all-star. The next player is also on the Pirates as well. He was an all-star this year. So what I will say with that is that we would be giving up some prospects. Davy Garcia might be in there. Clark Schmidt might be in there. Maybe Andujar if he's off the IL in time, which he should be in the next couple of days. Clint Frazier maybe. There are a couple of options you could go. And all I'm going to say is just to end off the Frazier subject, get someone consistent in left field and get someone consistent in center field. Now, obviously, the Yankees would have to make a multitude of moves at the deadline in order to fill those two spots, but I'm tired of seeing Brett Gardner in center field. He's older. It's unfortunate, but we have to comment on this. We have to tell the truth. It's kind of like Eli during the end of his tenure as a New York Giant. With that being said, let's go to Brian Reynolds, who is the second guy that we're going to talk about. He is primarily an outfielder. He necessarily does not hit for power as well, probably less power than Adam Frazier. He earned an All-Star nomination this year. This year he is hitting a total of 305, 17 home runs, 52 RBIs. Also to note, he has 98 hits in a total of 321 at-bats, 88 games. So this is a guy who can hit home runs and also keep a steady batting average. In terms of strikeouts, he has 75, so obviously kind of matches up with the 88 games. But this is, once again, another guy that I would not mind getting. Hits for average, he has power, but it shows consistency with the 305. Now, last year, didn't do all that well, 7 home runs, 19 RBIs, and a 189 batting average. The year before that, though, the last regular year, 2019, 16 home runs, 68 ribbies, and also a 314 batting average with 121 strikeouts, so obviously you have to keep that in mind as well. But as long as you can hit for average, in my standards, if you can hit for average, if you can get consistency, and also as well, if you hit home runs as well, I'm not going to be an analytic bug about that because they don't like batting average. I do. If you can keep consistency, hit home runs, have the power, and just be consistent and hit for something other than home runs, then I like you. Brian Reynolds, I happen to like you. He had an All-Star nomination, if I didn't mention earlier, this year as well. In terms of control, this year he is earning $601,000. Next year, first year of arbitration, second year of arbitration in 2023, and then 2024, third year of arbitration. In terms of the last couple of games, last 7, he's hitting 280 with 2 home runs and 6 RBIs. Last 15, 281 batting average, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs. Last 30 games, 8 home runs, 24 RBIs, and a 345 batting average. Very good. Definitely would try to go after Reynolds, knowing he's an all-star and actually presents the amount of power he does. The Pirates would probably be looking for some prospects in Hall, Deivi Garcia, Clark Schmidt, a lot of those other guys in the system, maybe Esteban Florial as well, since he's been hot. But once again, he really doesn't hit for average. He's hitting around 230 down there maybe. But the Yankees would have to give up some prospects, and they can't be stubborn about that, because if you want to go after somebody at the deadline and go over the luxury tax, you would probably have to get Reynolds and obviously give up some prospects in return. So let's go to number 3. And number 3, I'm not necessarily all on board with, but I would actually be okay with this option. Starling Marte. He's been in the league since 2012, so he's a familiar face. Played with the Pirates for a couple of years, and also, I think, 1 year in Arizona, and now with Miami. Now, a lot of people have brung up Ketel Marte and a couple other guys. This is my final option for the trade deadline. I know the Diamondbacks are probably giving away a lot of players, but I'm going to go with Starling Marte here. This year, 7 home runs, 21 RBIs, 283 batting average, not bad. He showed some consistency with batting average over the course of his career. Total of strikeouts 53 in 54 games, so approximately at least 1 strikeout a game, which is a little bit of a bugaboo, but if you can keep the 283 average or somewhere around there, I'm happy with you. And earlier in his career, he had a lot of speed. The Pirates and the Diamondbacks used him for stolen bases. The Marlins, I guess, are moving away from that a little bit, or it's because Starling Marte is getting older. He is somewhere in his 30s right now, and he's played a total of 54 games this season. I think he's missed a couple of games this year due to injury, or was last year. I don't know which, but hopefully if he comes to the Yankees, if they trade for him, hopefully he stays in left field and it's not an injury bug with him like so many others in the past. And hopefully that would kick somebody out of the outfield, whether it be Frazier struggling. Once he gets back, he's dealing with some vision problem or something. I don't know. It's some sort of weird disease. Hope he gets better, though. Obviously, just because I don't like him as a player right now in terms of his performance doesn't mean I'm going to hate on him and say, oh, I hope he never comes back. No. I hope Frazier gets better. I hope Andujar gets better. With that being said, Starling Marte is a born left fielder. Clint Frazier, yeah, he's a born left fielder, hasn't been producing, still on the IL. Miguel Andujar coming off soon, but once again, he is not a left fielder. They're doing that as a Band-Aid solution, not really working on defense because he has trouble reading balls. And necessarily over the last couple of weeks, even before we went on the IL, Andujar wasn't necessarily doing that great. He was hitting in the 180s over the past 7 to 15 games. With that being said, we're going to talk about streaks. Starling Marte, 222 over the last 7, 1 home run, 3 RBIs, 12 strikeouts. So the strikeout numbers are up. Last 15 games, 211 batting average, 1 home run, 4 RBIs. Last 30, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, 252 batting average, and 30 strikeouts. So that is a lot of strikeouts. Obviously, that's 1 per game. That's why he is my number 3 option, and also because he is a right-handed hitter. Now, obviously, a lot of Yankee fans want to consider quantity over quality. I don't really do that. Frazier and Reynolds are good lefties that are not being talked about by Yankee fans. I have no idea why. Also to note, one of the people who follows me on Twitter has been bugging me in a good way. His name is Shah or Shaq or something like that. He's been telling me we need to trade for Frazier. We need to trade for Brian Reynolds as well and give up some prospects. And shouts to you, man. You probably gave me this idea in terms of me going to research on these two guys and actually liking them. So shoutouts to Shah. Hope everything is well, man. With that being said, let's go to our hell no option. Unpopular opinion, but with that being said, I'm not going to cower. I'm not going to hide. I'm going to give you the facts. People want to look into analytics and advanced stats with him. Let's go over this guy. A lot of Yankee fans want him. I don't. That's Joey Gallo. Lefty bat. Yankee fans like to consider quantity over quality. As I said, I do not want Joey Gallo whatsoever. Here is why. I'll give you the stats right now. And if you want to talk about advanced stats, lowest walk rate of his career, because that's one thing I heard. Not lowest walk rate, lowest strikeout rate. Oh, he has the lowest strikeout rate of his career. Okay, let's take this into another perspective. Eduardo Nunez, random player, but let's talk about him. Let's just say he hits 220 one year, and that's the highest he's hit in his career. Does that make it good? No. He still strikes out a ton. Yes, he gets on base with walks, but he still strikes out a lot, and he doesn't hit for average. And he's inconsistent. I mean, he's a home run hitter. I'll give him that. But let's go into it. So, this year, 24 home runs, 52 RBIs, 237 batting average. Once again, I do not like that. Also to note, within the last couple of games, 238. Last 15 games, 313. Last 30 games, 298. He has, I believe, a total of 33 strikeouts in the last 30 games, which is 1 every game, basically. If you want to put it into those terms real quickly, I just do want to see something. In terms of home runs over the last couple of games, he's hit 4 home runs, 6 RBIs in the last 7. The last 15, 11 home runs, 19 RBIs. And then the last 30, 15 home runs, 27 RBIs. I don't know if he earned an all-star vote to go to the all-star game. I didn't watch much of it because I was actually doing something at the time related to the giveaway, and also I was on with Kush the Hub. Shouts to him. Basically, with this guy, I'll give you some of the advanced stats that a lot of people won't give you. They will give you OPS and all this stuff. I'm going to give you my version of advanced stats. With runners in scoring position, 206. With runners in scoring position with 2 outs, 192. Bases empty, 239. With men on with 2 outs, 246. And also with nobody out, nobody on, 221. So we want to talk about situational hitting here, people. We want to talk about how the Yankees are not doing it. Why would we get somebody that fits the trend? Why would we get somebody that only is going to add on? Why? Some of you guys, honestly, and I hate ripping the fans if that's what people consider it to be. I don't like ripping the fans. But with that being said, we have to do the research if we're going to go out here and make some takes. We have to do the research. You can't just say, quantity over quality. That doesn't help. Because coming into this year, you want quantity over quality? Talkman, Ford, Jay Bruce, Brett Gardner. That's 4 lefties that could have been in the lineup already. And what happened to all of them? Gardner's the only one probably remaining right now. Because Talkman got traded, Ford got traded, and Jay Bruce retired. So if you want to consider quantity over quality, you can go and make that argument. But you know what? I will rebuttal that with quality over quantity because we don't have a good lefty in the lineup right now. Let's be honest. The only supposed good lefty by some people is Rougned Odor, and he hasn't been consistent all year, and that was a terrible trade. Terrible. I don't care if we gave up peanuts and Cracker Jack. They're loving their peanuts and Cracker Jack right now. We're not. At least Yankee fans aren't. Some of them. Not all of them. But over the course of his career, he has not touched over 260, over 270. His highest is 253. Huge strikeout rates. Huge. 2018, 207 strikeouts in a total of 148 games. Tell me how that makes sense to trade for him. 2019, 114 strikeouts in 70 games. 79 strikeouts in 57 games. I understand I'm not looking at walk rate. I understand I'm not looking at strikeout rate. Fuck the strikeout rate. Honestly, this guy isn't consistent. He hits for power. He's a boomer bust guy. Why would we want him? Don't give me WRC. Don't give me OPS and all those other stats. Stick to the basic ones that actually mean something for baseball. I don't want Joey Gallo. I do not. I'm tired of people coming out here and ripping other Yankee fans just because they're bringing out the right facts and the ones that actually mean something to the game. So Yankee fans, for the ones that want Gallo and the ones that are being, cancerous on Twitter about it, do your research and actually come with a compelling argument. Because if you don't, I have the right to call you an idiot. And I understand, a lot of people that I've met before, and I know on Twitter, and they're nice people, they want Gallo. But I don't understand their argument behind it, unless you use advanced stats. And that's something I don't support, because I'll give you my advanced stats on here. Runners in scoring position, and stuff like that. Because if the Yankees can't do it, Joey Gallo ain't going to do it. And people saying, oh, well, he gets on base. Oh, he hits with runners on base. Well, clearly the stats aren't showing it. But with that being said, let's go into our final topic. Kind of a last topic discussion. So let's talk about the trade deadline overall, the state of this organization, and stuff like that. Hal and Brian Cashman are buying into the false hope. My personal opinion. Obviously, you guys can rattle me on that, and you guys can try to debate me on that. They're buying into the false hope, and it's something I don't understand, really. Because if you were not going over the luxury tax for free agency, whether it be signing another consistent lefty, getting a proven pitcher, whoever the hell it was, instead of two injury-prone pitchers that have not pitched in 2 years. Sorry, I like Corey Kluber, I love the no-hitter, but right now it's not proving anything other than the no-hitter, of course. Jameson Taillon, he's been on and off, really has not been consistent at all, and with that being said, he also has not gotten any run support, which also kind of begs the stat that Jordan Montgomery in his last 5 starts has not gotten a single run of run support. And this team's going to change? Really? Come on. But with that being said, why would you go over the luxury tax now if you didn't go over the luxury tax to get a starter or a proven lefty in the offseason? People can make their points about Brantley or Kyle Schwarber. Personally, I would have liked Brantley. Let's just say that I wanted Brantley because I wasn't necessarily having an eye on him. I was having the eye on, let's give Clint Frazier his chance because he's earned it. Obviously, we all know the results now, and we go back a couple months and say, oh, we should have gotten Michael Brantley. But it goes to the point of, why are we spending now in terms of going over the luxury tax or willing to and giving up prospects and getting probably a Band-Aid solution rather than a couple months ago signing somebody, whether it be Brantley or whoever else. I think Josh Reddick was a free agent, but side topic. Why would we spend the money now if we didn't spend it how many months ago? And trust me, he did spend money. LeMahieu, Brett Gardner, even though Ottavino was traded basically to sign Brett Gardner back. Corey Kluber, Jameson Taillon, and how many other signings he made. My point is this. I keep saying it 1,000 times in this video. I'll say it once again. Why are we spending money now and going over the luxury tax if we didn't do so this offseason? Why? Because you thought this team was going to last? 2 injury-prone pitchers and a couple of unproven lefties who didn't show you absolute shit last year? Talkman, Ford, Gardner, Jay Bruce? Come on. This is ridiculous. And also, just as a topic, Boone is not the manager of the future. I've said that multiple times. I really have never retracted it, but I said it a couple of streams ago, and I don't think he's a manager. But once again, with that being said, if he gets replaced or if he doesn't come back after this year, it's going to be the same philosophy of, it's just a puppet. Because it will be a puppet because the Yankees chose that Girardi is not the manager of the future and that he's too hard on the players, this nonsense and that nonsense. With that being said, trade for the following or sell. You either trade for the following, my personal opinion, you trade for the following players that are listed, the three of them, Marte, Reynolds, or Frazier. You trade for one of them, or you sell. Sell Chapman if you can, sell Odor if you can, sell a couple other players if you can, maybe sell Gleyber Torres if you can, and make Hoi-Jun Park the future shortstop. Because there are only, I believe, 6 players right now on the roster. Obviously, that will change with Park, Ombrigi, Gittins, and a couple other players. There was 6 players on the roster that were homegrown. Montgomery was one of them. Brett Gardner was one of them. Higashioka and Sanchez, Tyler Wade, and I'm forgetting one. Oh, that's right, Aaron Judge. So, you haven't been doing well in terms of player development in the last couple of years. That shows. The last couple of first-round picks you've either traded away or they have not worked out in the system because the player development system isn't good down there. Must not be. And I have to agree with the point that a lot of these guys we're calling up right now, they've been in the minors for a reason over the last couple of years. Chris Gittins, Trey Ombrigi, Hoi-Jun Park. Maybe they get their chance, and maybe they just prove us wrong that we're actually good players being hidden in lack of player development for the last couple of years. Maybe they prove us wrong. Maybe one of them gets a roster spot this year, next year, wherever. But the player development needs to fucking step up over the next couple of years, or else we're looking at a bad situation. That's all I'm going to say. And also with that, the Yankees will never fully rebuild. And here's how I'll say that. They would be in a good position to. Here's why. Because the MLB does not have a salary cap. With the way the Yankees demand things in terms of ticket prices, merchandise, and all that other shit, they're not the Pirates. They don't live in a small market. That's a smaller market than New York, Pittsburgh, of course. But the Yankees, they live in New York. They're in New York. They have all the money in the fucking world. In terms of an MLB organization other than the Dodgers, maybe some other team that I'm not actually mentioning. So, in my personal opinion, they would never fully rebuild because they don't believe they're at that standard. They're afraid of being the next Pittsburgh Pirates. Meanwhile, I don't see that happening because, once again, the Yankees, they actually have an advantage over a couple of small market teams like the Royals, like the Pirates, like the, White Sox, but they're building a young core. Nice to them. Nice for them. But the Yankees, once again, will never be in a position to rebuild because they believe that they're at the higher standard, in which they are, but you need to perform at that standard, or else you need to rebuild and get a bunch of players in trades, stuff like that you could build through your farm system. Remember a couple of years ago when the farm system was actually good, Gleyber Torres, a couple other guys coming through the system, 2016, 2017, 2018 as well. Over the last couple of years, that's gone down because we've given up so many prospects in the trades that have not worked out. Sonny Gray, J. Happ, James Paxton, must be missing a couple others. Jamie Garcia, if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize. Lance Lynn, didn't work out. All of those trades did not work out. Or they worked for 1 year, and then next couple of years, kapooey. No good. So, my point is this. The Yankees should sell the deadline, but if they choose to trade for somebody at the deadline, they have to win the next couple of games. Because if not, Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner will still buy into that false hope, and that's going to put us in a deeper hole of denial. The Yankees need to get better at their player development. That's an obvious truth, because over the last couple of years, first-round picks have not worked out, whether it's traded or not good. As well, the Yankees will never fully rebuild, as I just mentioned. It's a point of denial. It's a point of being at a smaller standard. It's okay to rebuild. It's okay to rebuild. As long as you get up from that situation, it is okay to rebuild. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're wrong, you're wrong. That's what happens in life. A lot of people are scared of being wrong. It's okay to be wrong on occasion. I'm wrong on occasion. Everybody's wrong on occasion. So, with that being said, also one more point. Why would you spend now if you didn't spend in the off season? because you thought this team was going to be good. Coming off of last year with unproven lefties and a manager who's a puppet and can't do shit. So with that being said, guys, if you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification button so you get notified when live stream pops a video drops. Appreciate y'all coming out to this video. More content throughout the week. I would like to get some videos before I go to upstate next week. Will update you guys on Boys in the Big Apple podcast because we are moving it to probably a new day within the weekend. Probably not next week, maybe the week after. Obviously, once again, guys, follow the Twitter, Boys in the Big Apple, and also my account because that's where I give updates as well. Hopefully the Yankees do something, or they just admit that they're not going to make it this year and sell. Because obviously we look like the 2013 Yankees. With that being said, guys, peace out, see you later, and stay cool.